Hi there, and welcome to the Entrepreneur's Therapist podcast. I'm your host, Shulamit Ber Lev Tov, and I'm the Entrepreneur's Therapist. You can call me Shula for short, and my pronouns are she, hers. This is the podcast for business owners, solopreneurs, micropreneurs, freelancers, and self-employed folks who want support for riding the emotional roller coaster of running a business. I'm on a mission to mitigate the entrepreneurial mental health crisis and transform the entrepreneurial ecosystem to include the whole human founder as a business priority. I do that through this podcast, of course, and also through speaking, teaching, and consulting, and by supporting women business owners to prevent burnout and preserve their peace of mind as they ride the emotional roller coaster of running a business in an era of relentless stressors that can make you want to lose your crap on the daily. This podcast is being recorded on lands that have been stewarded for 10,000 years and to this day by the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. Land acknowledgements are calls to action from Canada's Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and this is your call to action to find out whose land you're on and to share that information with other folks and to take what additional actions you can toward reconciliation because the harms caused by settler colonialism are ongoing. Today's topic is how to be positive without being toxic. On LinkedIn the other day, I posted about toxic positivity. It really gets me going. I'm horrified about it because it's so harmful. All the people commenting also saw this as problematic. And one person said it makes them want to barf. Me too. But here's the problem. Difficulty and distress are intrinsic to the experience of women entrepreneurs and to entrepreneurs as a whole. For example, you did the math wrong and now you're overdrawn. Oh, what a terrible feeling. Your VA is off for the week and you totally support them because you're also taking care of yourself, but suddenly your inbox blows up. Or half your clients canceled this week and now your gross for the month is up in the air. You've updated your website and now it's broken. The list of things that can and do go wrong is endless. But how do you keep going? How do you deal with adversity and keep your spirits up without bypassing your mental and spiritual health? Realistic optimism is the answer. This is a way to be positive without being toxic. A healthy entrepreneurial mindset acknowledges that you're having challenges and that challenges are inherent in running a business. Also, a healthy entrepreneurial mindset includes encouraging self-talk. And together, these two components form realistic optimism, which is a key component of the healthy mindset that helps women entrepreneurs be resilient so they can advance despite adversity. And if you're rolling your eyes about what resilience means, I have linked to that in the show notes, link to my post about that in the show notes so that you can read more. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about my opinion on resilience. It's not about feeling good. It's not about going back to normal. It's not about being unharmed when bad things happen. Resilience doesn't mean being strong. It doesn't mean powering through. When I use the term resilience, it's about advancing despite adversity, advancing your goals, advancing your values, advancing your projects and your life and your business despite adversity. You might be feeling shitty, but with resilience skills, you'll be able to keep going if that's what you want to do or if that's what matters to you. So resilience, it's a term that just makes me grit my teeth. I'm sick and tired of being called resilience because I've been through a lot of crap, and so have a lot of the clients that I've worked with. Many self-help books on resilience speak exclusively to white middle-class North Americans, and they assume access to money, safe housing, food, and secure, loving relationships. And resilience looks really different if you don't have any of these things. Sometimes resilience is clawing your way out of a hole. Sometimes it's crying your eyes out. Sometimes it's just making it through another day. Every one of these things is something to celebrate. So you might be asking yourself, what if I struggle with resilience? And I invite you to consider this. What most of us think is resilience is deeply rooted in white, Western, individualistic thinking. And non-genetic, social, and environmental factors play a role in bringing about poor mental health and in causing and intensifying mental illnesses. So resilience as a set of skills can be challenging to learn or exercise due to these social determinants of health. These are the 14 social and economic factors at play in a person's life that determine the conditions in which people are born, grow, live, work, and age. And these determinants are shaped by the multi-level distribution of money, power, and resources, and are not in the control of any one individual, but they do exert pressure and have an impact at an individual level. These are the factors that are the main determinants of health and mental health outcomes, much more than lifestyle choices. So, I mean, even the concept of lifestyle choice itself is problematic because, again, it assumes access, resources, and capacity to freely choose what's good, in quotation marks, and to turn away from what's bad. So, resilience skills will not make you feel happy no matter what, but what they will do is help you shift your relationship to adversity. You'll be able to address it better. When you work on your resilience skills, you will have those skills and the resources that enable you to say to yourself, even though things are tough, I have what it takes to make it through, and believe it. So this is an example of realistic optimism, saying to yourself, even though things are tough, I have what it takes to make it through. And to have what it takes does not mean only inner resources. It means that you are well supported and well resourced internally and externally, communally, and on an individual level. So, realistic optimism means having accurate expectations of what you can achieve. Things are tough. They're going to be tough. That doesn't mean I'm stupid. It just means it's tough, right? Overly optimistic expectations, again, toxic positivity raises its head, will lead to discouragement when you run into reality. Toxic positivity says stuff like, keep the vibe high, tell yourself this will be easy. If you stay positive, everything will come to you effortlessly. I'm sure you can tell by my tone of voice that I really don't like these kinds of sayings because they're just not true and they don't ring true. And they can cause pain, emotional pain when we tell ourselves those things because we know, right, that there's a disconnect between them and reality. If you work hard and things don't work out, the corollary of negative attracts negative and positive attracts positive is that you blame yourself for your failures. Right? If positive attracts positive, and we assume that means that if we're positive minded, saying these things to ourselves like keep the vibe high, that good things will happen to us. And if bad things happen, then we assume it's our fault because we've been quote unquote negative, right? We blame ourselves for our failures when the truth is that entrepreneurship is hard work. And there are many factors at play in success, and nothing is more disappointing than dashed hopes and expectations. And honestly, isn't entrepreneurship hard enough without them? When we set realistic expectations, we're more likely to meet or even exceed them. So this is a way in which realistic optimism is protective. And it's protective in another way. Research has shown that being overly optimistic leads to incorrect assumptions about risk. And I've linked in the show notes to more information about that. And when we make incorrect assumptions about risk, it's particularly dangerous for entrepreneurs. We need to be prepared and ready to address and mitigate the risks that are inherent in entrepreneurship. Being overly optimistic, things will be easy, everything will go well for me, it's all going to work out. Being overly optimistic like this makes us vulnerable to taking inappropriate risks. It makes us unaware or it's like putting blindfolds on ourselves. We're vulnerable because we don't have all the information that we need, and then we take inappropriate risks. Realistic optimism is neither optimistic nor pessimistic, but a balanced view. There are risks and benefits. There are positive and negative. Living in the both and is key, because living in the both and fosters a healthy entrepreneurial mindset. So what does this mean? Exercising realistic optimism means you hold both the good and the bad as part of your healthy entrepreneurial mindset. They don't cancel each other out. Both experiences are true. Looking back at your experience as a woman entrepreneur, and I invite you to take a moment and do that, Looking back at your experience as a woman entrepreneur, you can most likely see that the good doesn't erase the experience of the bad. Expecting the good to erase the bad falls into the realm of toxic positivity. And maybe you've noticed the exact opposite is what's actually happening. The bad seems to outweigh and erase the good, right? Why is that? Well, I've linked in the show notes so you can check that out for more. And sadly, toxic positivity also leads to self-blame when it doesn't work, quote unquote, doesn't work, right? And it doesn't erase the bad, and you end up still experiencing the so-called negative thoughts and emotions. And like, what women entrepreneur needs more of that? I sure don't. Self-criticism doesn't foster a healthy entrepreneurial mindset either, and it makes you feel like crap and adds to your stress. So let's call it like it is. Entrepreneurship is tough. It's not for the faint of heart. It helps to recognize that. And so if you're feeling stressed right now or having any kind of so-called negative emotion, you might like to try taking a mindful breath and saying to yourself, yes, of course, what I'm trying to do here is challenging, because entrepreneurship is challenging. So here's how to use encouraging self-talk that isn't toxically positive. Challenges aren't the whole story, right? When it's tough, being a woman entrepreneur, you must have, while it's tough, I should say, being a woman entrepreneur, you must have been hopeful about the future and confident about your ability to succeed, or you wouldn't have embarked on this journey in the first place. Toxic positivity and encouraging self-talk aren't the same thing. Often, women entrepreneurs attempt to encourage themselves with overly optimistic, positive affirmations, like the ones I mentioned above, that are more like magical thinking, and they just don't ring true. And then the inner critic raises its head and your self-esteem plummets, right? It's more realistic and more helpful, therefore, to make a conscious decision to keep on going, even though it's tough. And this is the other half of the realistic optimism that makes up a healthy entrepreneurial mindset, encouraging self-talk. It acknowledges the reality at the same time as it cheers you on to keep going. So here's an exercise that you can try. You can do it along with me now, or you can check the link in the show notes. Check the link to the show notes in the description so that you can go through this yourself. If you're feeling stressed and discouraged right now, maybe try this. First of all, take a moment to notice how you're doing. You might like to take a breath and check in with yourself and maybe rate your distress on a scale of 0 to 5, with 0 not being not stressed at all and 5 being like, I'm really stressed. Once you've noted where you are on the scale, I invite you to place your attention on your breath. And without changing your breath, maybe keep your attention on it as you take 1 or 2, as you breathe in and out once or twice, or maybe 3 or 4 times. And it might feel right to place a gentle hand on your heart area. And maybe you might like to say to yourself, yes, this is hard. I knew it would be hard. It's hard for everybody. Entrepreneurship is hard. Running a business is hard. And even though it's hard, I'm going to keep at it. Because in my experience, I believe hard work usually pays off. Yeah. Even though it's hard, I'm going to keep at it. And you might like to notice now how you're feeling and maybe rate your distress a second time and see where it is from 0 to 5, with 0 being not stressed at all and 5 being very stressed. And notice if there's a change from how you rated yourself before you started this practice. This is a tactic that you can use anytime to help yourself ground and recenter when you're upset so that you can keep going. Thanks for listening. This podcast is brought to you by my self-guided virtual retreat. Create your customized plan for mental and emotional well-being so you can keep your CEO self in the driver's seat and you don't flip your lid and blow up your business when the crap hits the fan. Running a business down can run your mental health down also. Actually, I said that wrong. So let me say it again the right way. Running a business can run down your mental health. And as whole humans who own small businesses, a mental health plan should be part of your business strategy. You can boost your business and yourself with a mental health plan for yourself as a founder. And you can purchase the self-guided mental health plan virtual retreat today. It's $99 US and includes the workshop recording, an enhanced PDF transcript, and worksheets. The link is entrepreneurstherapist.click/MHplan, but that link is also in the description. I'm the Entrepreneur's Therapist, and I'm on a mission to mitigate the entrepreneurial mental health crisis and transform the entrepreneurial ecosystem to include you, the whole human founder and business owner. If you've gotten something valuable from this episode, you can support my mission by sharing with friends and colleagues you think need to hear this. Subscribing, rating, and reviewing also helps mitigate the entrepreneurial mental health crisis by making it possible for this podcast to reach more stressed out entrepreneurs who need support, validation, and tools like in today's episode that can help them to care for their mental and emotional well-being in this era of relentless stressors that can make you want to lose your crap on the daily. I look forward to connecting with you next time.